I would like to touch on Toynbee. And first of all, we are going to look at Study of History, which is a 12-volume work, but this is an abridged version, right? So we'll begin from volume 2 of the 2-volume abridged version. Now, what I like to do is actually understand a few concepts Toynbee is looking to outline. So before we begin, I'd like to talk about law and freedom. And so we're going to discuss this section. From this section, then we're going to jump into Collingwood. And then after Collingwood, we're going to jump into Sabine. Right. During the 100 years that preceded 1914, Western man was very little troubled with the problem with which we have now to grapple because either type of solution seemed as satisfactory as the other. If human destiny were ruled by superhuman law, that law was the highly satisfactory law of progress. If, on the other hand, there were no such law, it would safely be assumed that the activities of free and intelligent human beings would secure the same result. By the middle of the 20th century, the situation was evidently very different. Civilizations were known to have collapsed in the past, and the pretentious skyscraper erected by modern Western man was now seen to be displayed ominous seemed seen to be displaying ominous fissures. Fissures are, I believe, cracks or gaps. Let's check and explore this here. Let's check it here. Ominous fissures. Ominous. Ominous.
Ominous. Ominous.
Ominous is an adjective describing something that suggests a threat or hints that something unpleasant, dangerous, or disastrous is likely to happen. It's commonly used to describe unsettling atmosphere, foreboding signs, or menacing behaviors. Terms frequently used in everyday language to create a sense of impending trouble or unease. The environment, dark, ominous clouds gathered on the horizon, signaling approaching storm. There was ominous,
Ominous.
ominous silence at the other end of the phone. The sudden creaking sound from the car engine was an ominous sign. Interesting. Okay. The phrase combines two words to describe deep, narrow crack or split that gives the impression of impending danger, doom, or misfortune. It suggests that the crack is a warning sign of a potentially catastrophic collapse, breakup, or failure. Breakdown of the meaning. Fissure, a long, narrow crack, cleft, or split in the surface, often found in rock, ice, or earth. Ominous, giving the worrying impression that something bad or unpleasant is going to happen, threatening. Other phrases used. The phrase appears in both literal and figurative contexts. Literally, used in geology to describe widening cracks in the ground, in an ice sheet, or on a volcano surface that signal an impending earthquake, landslide, or volcanic eruption. Figuratively, used in politics, relationship, organization to describe deep threatening divide that threatens to cause a complete breakdown or collapse. So he's saying here that civilizations were known to have collapsed in the past. and the pretentious skyscraper erected by modern Western man now was now seen to be displaying ominous fissures. So a threat on the horizon, worrying impression about something bad is going to happen. And fissure is crack, long narrow crack, cleft or split in the surface. Okay, interesting. Hmm. Let's make a note of this. Ominous fissures. Long, narrow cracks give a worrying impression that something bad is going to happen. Okay. Was there a law such as Oswald Spengler had laid down in his pontifical work, Decline of the West, published in 1919, that this civilization should go the way of its predecessors, or were we free to retrieve our mistakes and fashion our own destiny? Let's see what Gemini Book Review says, because I've been exploring this topic a bit more. Subject, sorry. So let's see what comes up here. Push this back a little bit. Okay, so the decline of the West by Oswald Spengler. Oswald. Right, Decline of the West by Oswald Spengler is a monumental, highly controversial work of historical philosophy that rejects the traditional linear view of human progression in favor of a cynical organic model. Spengler argues that human history is not a continuous upward line, but rather a collection of distinct high cultures such as classical, Magian, and Western or Faustian, each possessing its own unique soul and undergoing a predictable life cycle of birth, growth, maturity, and death, lasting roughly 1,000 years. The text covers the critical distinction between a vibrant, spiritually creative culture and its eventual decay into a rigid, materialistic, and pluralistic civilization which it asserts the West entered around the 19th century. By exploring topics like historical morphology, comparing the art, mathematics, politics across different eras, the rise of megacities and emergence of Caesarism, Caesarism, Spengler provides sweeping and fatalistic prediction that Western civilization has passed its creative peak, entering the final phase of inevitable decline and spiritual exhaustion. Mm. Interesting, Mr. Oswald Spengler. Germany, yeah. Okay, died age 55. Spengler's moral history postulates that human culture civilization are akin to biological entities, each with a limited, predictable, and deterministic lifespan. He predicted that Western civilization would enter the period of pre-death emergency around the year 2000, which would lead to 200 years of Caesarism, extra constitutional omnipotence of the executive branch of government before Western civilization's final collapse. Einstein history of interesting. First millennium Near East was, in Spengler's view, not a transition between classical antiquity, Western Christianity, Islam, but rather an emerging new culture named Magian, explaining Messianic Judaism, early Christianity, Gnosticism, Mandeism, Sabianism, basically Zoroastrianism and Islam as different expressions of a single culture sharing unique worldview. Totally wrong views. Spengler termed his method of describing the evolution of high cultures destiny thinking, which he contrasted with causality thinking, saying, the decline of the West, that civilization is the inevitable destiny of the culture. Historian of antiquity Edward Meyer thought highly of Spengler, although he had criticism of his Spengler's obscurity, interpretive mysticism were easy target, especially for positivist neo-Kantianists. Rejected possibility that there was meaning in world history. The critic and aesthete Harry Kessler thought him unoriginal, rather inane. Inane, especially in regard to his opinion of Nietzsche. Philosopher Wittgenstein shared Spengler's cultural pessimism. Spengler's work became an important foundation for social cycle theory. Social theory is associated unlike the theory of social evolutionism, which means that evolution of society and industry has new directions, sociological systems. Sociological cycle theory argues that events and stages of society and history generally repeat themselves in cycle. Such a theory necessarily does not necessarily imply that there cannot be any social progress. In the early theory of Sima Chan, and more recent theories of long-term secular political demographic cycles, an explicit account is made of social progress. Interesting. Okay, so Sababia. Let's check out Ibn Khaldun very quickly. So there is a close relationship between what Toynbee is speaking about, what Spengler speaks of, although I disagree with Spengler so far, and Cicero, Ibn Khaldun, and we'll look at Sabine in a moment as well. I'm just trying to find Ibn Khaldun's book here. Bismillah. I have it right here. Okay, so Sabia. Let's see where it is. It's not coming up here, I'm afraid. This is why I don't like abridged versions. This is also an abridged version. Okay. Okay.